Shorter days, changing leaves, and dropping temps all mean that the riding season is coming to a close, at least for those of us who live in a northern climate like I do up here in northern New York. You might be thinking that since you'll be storing your motorcycle within a couple of weeks, or maybe even 1 or 2 months if we're lucky, that now's not the best time to buy a motorcycle. Let me ask you this. What are you willing to pay for your personal freedom? When are you finally going to put someday, as in someday I'm going to get that motorcycle, when are you finally going to put someday on the calendar? Fall is actually a good time to buy a motorcycle if you're in the market for one. That's because those who already bought their bike in the spring and summer, they're no longer looking. So that means there's less competition for you. Now that you've made the choice to get a motorcycle because you found that your personal freedom is riding and you're no longer going to procrastinate, congratulations. Except you don't come from a motorcycling family. You're not going to get your cousin's Honda or your dad's Harley. So what are you going to do now? That means you're going to have to go on the hunt for that dream bike, and you're going to have to use your own hard-earned money, or at the very least, get financed and then use your own hard-earned money to pay back the bank. If you are new to the sport, you're going to find that most people are going to want to welcome you in with open arms. They're going to want to help you get your knees in the breeze. Friends that already ride, family members, and then the motorcycle enthusiasts you're about to meet. We are all ready to help guide you, show you the ropes, and ready for you to join in on the fun. And then there's a few people who are ready to take advantage of you being a newbie to the sport, that are willing to take your money and not look back. Whether it's a private party who's selling a bike with a blown motor, or an unscrupulous salesman who's just looking to make his personal quota. No matter what industry you're talking about, when you're a newbie, there are always going to be people who are going to be looking to take advantage and put their own best interests in front of yours. I certainly want your motorcycle experience to be a good one, no matter if it's your first bike or your 51st bike. I'm one of those bikers who is ready and willing to welcome you with open arms into our sport. And then I'd really like it if you kept at it, gaining in your experience and then sharing that down to the next generation of new riders. On my channel, you'll find other videos to help you get started, as well as on my website, irishbobsister.com. There you'll find my blog with tips and tricks about motorcycling, as well as my Skillshare class that you can try for free. While I'm here, I'll just mention that if you want a more one-on-one experience, I'm also a life coach. Just click on the link that says 30-minute free trial, and we'll get started going down the road to get things done and happening in your life for you. How do I know all this about motorcycling? In case you're new here, my name is Dawn, aka Irish Bob's sister, and in addition to being a motorcycle mentor and life coach, I've been working at Harley-Davidson dealerships for nearly 15 years now. A little over a year ago, I did this video, 3 tips for buying a Harley at a dealership, that I'll put a link to here and down below. In that video from July 2021, the 3 tips I gave were: know the bike that you want, or at least have a good idea. Because if you don't, then you can easily get talked into buying a bike that you actually don't like. Know how much money that you're going to spend or that you can afford. Again, if you don't, you might end up buying a bike that you can't afford. And the 3rd tip is to think positive, because what you put out into the universe is usually what you get back. So if you're positive that you're going to do your best, that you're going to work with the seller, that you're going to have a great buying experience, then that is what most likely you're going to have happen for you. And a few months ago, in the comments of that video, I had a watcher, Crispin, who asked some very good questions. He was looking for some more information about the process. Was negotiating even a thing anymore? Could he get a better price with or without a trade? And is cash or financing going to get you the best deal? I answered his questions there, and I also wanted to answer them in a new video because I know not everybody goes back and looks at the comments. But before we get into that, let me ask you this. What was your last large buying experience like? Whether it was a car, truck, motorcycle, ATV, UTV, personal watercraft, maybe it was a boat, or even appliances. I mean, the prices of fridges these days is about what I paid for my first car. So, what was your last large buying experience like? Did you get it from a private party, or did you go to the store or dealership? Did you finance it, or did you buy it outright? Let me know in the comments below, because not only does it help you choose your algorithm, I truly want to hear what you've got to say. Answering the first of Crispin's questions about negotiating on the price. These days, with shipping and other fees involved in the purchase of a new bike, you're going to find that you have a little bit more wiggle room when you buy a pre-owned bike or used bike. An older bike with higher mileage and a few dings here or there is going to help you in negotiating that price. And if you're buying a used bike, then you're also going to want to check its values on NADA. We use NADA.com to make sure that we're at least in the ballpark of what the bike is going for. And you're going to want to do the same. This is also where knowing the price that you're going to want to pay that you can afford is going to come in handy. Let's just say that you're after a new bike at the dealership. Again, you're going to want to know what your budget is before you go into the store. I'd highly suggest that you know the total amount that you want to pay and the interest rate that you expect to get, rather than just knowing how much that you can afford a monthly payment. So in other words, you're going to want to know that you can afford to have financed $28,900 at, say, 3 or 4% interest rate because your credit score is that good, versus just being able to say, I want to pay $350 a month. Now, here's where, if you have good credit, you can use that to help negotiate your best interest rate on a loan. You can actually shop around different lenders at the same time. It's not going to hurt your credit score any to look, because of course the higher the interest rate on your loan means the more money you're going to pay in the end. Crispin's second question, whether or not you can get a better deal with or without a trade, is also a bit complicated to answer. That's because it depends on a number of factors. Age and mileage of the vehicle that you're trading in, condition of the said trade, and if there's any lien left owing on that vehicle. Say you have a bike that you want to trade in. The older the bike, the better chance you'll have at just selling it outright. If there's any money left owing on that bike, in other words, you haven't paid off that loan yet, that amount is also taken into consideration. They're going to be looking at what they can sell the bike for and what they've got left to pay off. See where I'm going with this? Of course, thanks to, you know what, currently our used bike market is pretty hot. So depending on what you've got to trade, you could find a great deal. Still, it all comes down to what the bank is willing to lend on the bike that you're trading in. And that's what ultimately the dealership is going to be looking at. When I was at Harley-Davidson of Atlanta, we had a customer who wanted to trade in his 2002 Sportster 883. That was then 7 years old. It was a custom, according to him, with loads of extras, and he wanted $10,000 trade. Of course, we had to see the bike in person before we could give a trade value, as you will find with most any dealership. And when we saw the bike, yeah, it had a lot of stuff on it. In fact, it had probably nearly every single part that Kuryakin has ever made for a Sportster. I mean, it had a lot. It looked good from afar and far from good when he got up close. So what the customer had in mind for a value of his motorcycle didn't match the number that we gave him, because it was a little too custom and yet not, sorry. Needless to say, the owner wasn't very happy and ended up not doing the deal. So again, knowing that real value of what you've got to trade will help you in the long run before you even get to the dealership. Last but not least, is cash or financing going to get you the best deal? Well, of course, cash is always going to be your best deal, because you're not going to be paying the bank any interest or payments for borrowing that money in the first place. That being said, who happens to have $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 lying about just waiting to buy a motorcycle with? Not me, certainly. Unless maybe you won the lottery or got an inheritance, which congratulations, or my condolences. But chances are you're going to be financing that purchase. If you guessed that I'm going to say yet again, you should know the total amount that you're going to want to be borrowing before you walk into the dealership, you're right. And even then, you might not find exactly what you're looking for when you first walk in. Once, while looking for a pre-owned truck with a center shift, we found what we wanted on a local dealership's website. It was a pre-owned truck with a center shift, and when we first got onto the lot, we were walking around looking for it when the salesman showed up and asked how we could help. So we explained our situation, the truck that we were looking for, and the salesman immediately said that that wasn't the truck that we were looking for, and we'd be better off with a new truck without a center shift. So we asked again, where's the truck that we're looking for? This is the truck that we're interested in. We want a center shift. We were told 2 more times that wasn't the truck that we were looking for, so we ended up leaving. My husband and I ended up getting a truck somewhere else. Remember to trust your gut. Whether you're working in a dealership or with a private party, if the person or salesman isn't listening to you, isn't answering your questions directly, and or you just plain don't feel right about what is happening between you, this is a relationship that you are building, and if it doesn't feel right, then don't be afraid to walk away. There are other motorcycles out there. They are making them almost every day. In conclusion, while there is no surefire way to ensure the perfect experience for everyone in every circumstance, for every time, these 6 tips are my tried and true tips that will help to guide you along. Know what you want, know how much you have to spend, be positive, see if you can negotiate, determine the value of your trade if you have one, and find a lender with good customer service and a great interest rate. In the end, everyone's experiences will be a little different. But if all goes well, they will all end in the same place, with a new or new to you motorcycle, a great experience, and lots of smiles for every mile. Do you have a tip or trick that I missed? Or do you have a question that I didn't answer? Be sure to let me know in the comments below, and that will also help everyone else here as well. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you like this video, please be sure to give me a thumbs up, and don't be afraid to share it with a family member or friend who might be in the market for a new motorcycle or new to them motorcycle. Want to see more? Then click that subscribe button, and if you want to be notified when I upload new content, then click that bell. Remember, there are new videos every week. Until the next week, everybody, please stay safe, be kind to one another, especially if they're looking to buy a motorcycle. Ride when you can and have fun.